Hello everyone and welcome back to Infantry Only Fire Emblem 4, the only Fire Emblem Let's Play series on YouTube that is, we're doing it. We're actually doing it. I don't even have the energy to come up with an opening joke here. We are here. The final chapter, the end of the road. Golly, it only took us 14 episodes and like 12 months. But, at long last, we have reached the end of Fire Emblem 4. And let me tell you, this chapter probably has the most bullshit in it of all of them. I, of course, say that with love. I think the final chapter of Fire Emblem 4 is very good, it's just got some hard-ass shit in it. So, without any more of this bullshit, let's just get right into the thick of it, and how I'm going to pull my hair out, due to the difficulty of the game, and the excess of my own stupidity. Right out of the gate, there are some dark mages on top of a cliff that's going to be firing long-range dark magic and silence staves at us. Now, normally this wouldn't be a problem. In fact, with some dancing shenanigans, we can kill off most of them right away. Keyword being most of them. There's one fucker that's just outside of reach. Thankfully, he only has the silence staff and not any sort of damage, so it's very easy to just not put anyone he can silence in its range. I just wanted to bring it up because it annoys me that he's right there! So close to being able to kill him. But alas and alack, we have to turn our attention to the horde of cavalry that's coming right after him. The first wave of enemies in this final chapter isn't too difficult. It's just a horde of cavalry led by some dude named Roberto. None of them really pose much of a threat, and a lot of them end their turns on roads, so it can be very easy to attack them while their defenses are lowered. So it's really not much of a challenge. The real fucketry comes after, you guessed it, more mages! Now, if all of these magic goons just did magic damage and we just had to worry about that, that'd be one thing. We just put Arthur and Shannon there and dodge all of them. The problem is like half of them have a sleep staff, and that is something you can't dodge. It is either you have enough resistance to dodge the sleep 100%, or you're gonna go to sleep. And the only person in our army with enough resistance to really do that is Seliph himself with the Typh Ring. So we kind of just have to wait as Seliph goes around, one by one, slicing up every single magic user there. It's slow, it's time-consuming, but we aren't in any real danger. So, with that, the first castle is annoying, but it's not difficult. After the castle is conquered, we have our first lovers' conversation of the final chapter. Now, if I were actually using everyone and paired some people off, I'd have a lot of these. But I didn't, so I have like 3 of these. The first one is between Shannon and Patty, and basically Patty makes him some lunch that somehow gives him more health and speed. Which, I don't know what the hell you can put in a sandwich that gives a man more power, but pass me over that formula, because that sounds really helpful. Especially for Shannon. More speed is amazing, because it helps him just do everything he wants to do better. And despite what the Balmung gives him, my Shannon hasn't actually leveled speed as much as one would think, so this is a big improvement. After you seize the first castle, we're on to House Dozel, where Brian is ready to come at us with a absolute unit of Axe Knights. Now, normally, one force goes east to attack your units, and then another force goes south to attack your home castle. Now, I have no one there defending it. I intended to just cast Return on Ulster or something. However, for whatever reason, Brian went east with his other force. He completely ignored the wide-open enemy castle that had no guards. Like, what the fuck does he think he is? Hannibal? No, not that one. The real-life Hannibal. Hannibal of Carthage. You see, he was at the doorstep of Rome, and he could have seized it, and he didn't, and it's a history joke. It's funny, I swear. Now, the good thing about Brian's force being entirely Axemen is that it's very easy to just put a dodge tank in the center of it all and not worry about most of them. Sure, if they actually hit you, they'll do a lot of damage, but if you just put Shannon in the very narrow corridor of mountains there, they won't really be able to get past him, and he'll just dodge tank everything because he's fucking Shannon. Arthur, Larcey, and Ulster also work for this, and the most of it goes by just fine. The only problem with Brian's forces is the titular Brian himself, who is our first unit we fight in this chapter that has a holy weapon of his own. Brian is a Duke Knight armed with a Hellswath, a powerful axe that not only has 1-2 range, but also bestows upon Brian a fucking 20-point boost to his physical defense and a 10-point boost to his resistance, meaning it is nigh impossible for most units to do damage to him. Our only hopes are our own holy weapons, be it Seliph, Shannon, or Arthur, and they can do it fairly well. But this is one of the enemies that's a genuine threat. If you aren't paying attention, he will one-round pretty much anyone in your army, aside from your holy weapon users. And it's going to get a lot harder than him from here on out, so straddle on, folks, we're in for a ride. Once I seize House Dozel, we can get our last lovers' conversations of the chapter. Lana can talk to Seliph and give him +3 resistance, Nana can talk to Leaf and give him +3 defense, and sadly Yohalvir can talk to Larcey, but she's already capped her strength, so he isn't able to give her any more of a boost. But hey, if I can't boost it because it's already too high, I guess that's a nice problem to have. I've also somehow paired off Fi and Oife. I didn't even notice until the epilogue had them together, which is also a lover's conversation I could have done, but it's between 2 mounted units, so who cares? And I've also somehow paired off Ulster and Tinny, but that doesn't really matter because they don't have a conversation. Tinny can only have it with Seliph, Sed, and I think Leaf. So, not the best pairings in terms of getting stat boosts, but it's what happens. Now the next house of contention is House Friege, guarded by Hilda and a whole horde of armored spellcasters. Now at first glance this looks very threatening. Magic is one of the biggest damage users in the game, and you just have to fight a whole lot of them. Not to mention the fact that Jungbi Bonites come in to flank you from the south, coming in all on horseback with fast and accurate attacks. But this really isn't as hard as it looks, because the Jungbi Bonites aren't very good at flanking. See, they show up at a good time, but the Friege Knights don't actually get aggroed once Jungbi arrives. So Jungbi starts charging you, and the Friege Knights just sort of stand there. They don't attack you. So you can turn all of your attention to the Bow Knights instead, which is exactly what I do. I say that, but all I really did was put Fabail on a forest tile and let him mow them all down with the U-Fell. They can't really hit him, and even if they did, the bulk he inherited from Arden is too high for the hits to really have an impact, and it all goes very swimmingly as Fabail mows them all down. Until the boss shows up. It's Fabail's cousin, and they actually have a boss conversation beforehand. But Fabail isn't as accurate as I thought he was, and the boss is a lot more powerful than I thought he was, very easily killing Fabail with his killer bow. So I had to back Fabail up in a kind of awkward way, and I ultimately just used Shannon until you win, which has been a viable strategy from the moment you get Shannon all the way up until now, and not to spoil anything, but it's going to keep being a viable strategy for a little while longer yet. The Friege Knights have thankfully waited patiently for us to kill their pincer attack, so now we can go forward and deal with them. Now you'd think an Armor Knight force of that size with magic would be a little scary. Problem is they're all using Thunder magic except Hilda, and Thunder magic is bad against Wind magic. So all we have to do is place someone with a powerful Wind Tome in their way, and they're powerless. Now, I don't really know where we'll find one of those, but if we did have one of those, he would definitely tear through their forces no problem. And after he tears through their forces no problem, he'd have a pretty cool moment where he'd have a boss conversation with Hilda, and unlike Fabail, he would actually demolish her, getting an instant crit and kill, and just getting that jackass off the map forever. But I don't know, we're gonna find someone like that, so we kinda just have to pray he shows up one day. If you thought things were going swimmingly, well, it's about to all change, because Ishtar shows up with a bunch of units that are actually capable of killing you, namely 3 Pegasus Knights with Earth Swords that are really going to be tough to kill and have 11 movement due to their movement rings. In addition to that, Manfroy is now shown up alongside Julia, and she's deadly because she's talking in all caps, and she's going to slowly be walking towards her army, ready to try and kill them. And Arone's going to show up to the south, ready to come and take our home castle that we still don't have anyone defending. Now, all of these are problems, but the first problem we're going to be able to deal with is Arone, so let's just take care of that real fast. Arone is just as much of a powerhouse now as he was back on Chapter 9. Thankfully, we can deal with him much easier. We simply have to talk to him with Altena, and then he and all of his goons will become green units. Now, in actual playthrough, they're fairly good. They're good cannon fodder, and Arone himself can actually kill a lot of things. Problem is, they follow Altena around and goes where she goes. And normally, she's one of your most powerful units, so that's not a problem. But here it's a problem because that would mean Altena will always have a chance of getting attacked by something, and that's a no-no. So, while these green units are actually kind of people, we're going to have to leave them down to the side. Talking to Arone here is simply a means to get him to not take our castle, and we're not going to be able to use his power for ourselves. Now that we've taken care of Arone, it's time to take care of Ishtar, and let me tell you, that is not an easy feat. I knew it was going to be a problem from the start when the first wind mage that ever attacked my units procced Adept and killed Yohalavir, and the rest of her units are just about as deadly. Killer bow units are going to be able to make mincemeat of any of our squishy magic users, the magic users are going to be able to make mincemeat of any of our regular units, and Ishtar is going to proc Adept and kill Shannon. Yeah, this chapter has taught me that while Pavice is the bigger issue for the game in general, in this final chapter, Adept is going to be your absolute worst nightmare.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
Though Ishtar's forces are strong, we can deploy one of the age-old techniques, putting one unit on a one-gap-wide space and forcing them all to fight that unit. In this case, Arthur. Arthur's going to be able to take out most of Ishtar's forces, and since we put some people behind him, they're going to get attacked, which means Ishtar's not going to have an outlet to walk up and kill Arthur, because she's the last unit to move of her force every time. So by manipulating this AI, we make it so that Ishtar cannot buttfuck us, and then Arthur's going to complete his character arc by killing Ishtar with a Wrath crit. Nothing like a good old-fashioned familicide to make a man get going. And with one deadly mage out of the way, it's time to get to the other one. Julia, who has not had her Snicker bar in a while and just really isn't herself. Now what you have to do is you have to kill Manfroy and then talk to her with Seliph. So the problem is Manfroy is swarmed by hell units in front of him. So I decided to send Seliph over there to one-on-one Manfroy mano-a-mano, and I think to myself, this will go just fine. Seliph doesn't need any backup, and he can just 1v1, or I guess in this case 1v6, those mages no problem at all. However, there is just one teeny tiny but ever so crucial detail. I accidentally saved over a file where Seliph got hit by the 10% hell and was stuck there with 1 HP. Now I know what you're saying. Well, just move Seliph out of Manfroy's range. The hell users can't kill him, only Manfroy can. The exact file in which I saved had them all box him in so that he literally can't escape. Oh, well, why not just heal him? I didn't bring anyone else with him. Corporal's near, but I didn't think I'd need to use him. So, now your final question is, why? Why would you do this to yourself?
Because I thought I did this. What I actually did was this.
And let me tell you, that was a very rude way to learn that down and right are not the same direction. So, in order to make up for that stupidity, I just have to keep resetting until Seliph doesn't die. I don't want to admit how long this took. I'm just going to tell you, it took a while. And it really made me hate my own stupidity, and really made me question why I am running a Fire Emblem channel when I am so fucking bad at Fire Emblem. I know I say that a lot, but it applies here, at this moment, perhaps more than any other. But, through a lot of RNG scumming, I do eventually manage to kill Manfroy. With a few less hairs in my head than how I started, but hey, sacrifices have to be made in the name of stupidity. With Manfroy dead, we can finally talk to Julia and calm her the hell down from her emo phase. Now, with that done, moving her over to Valhalla will get her the Book of Naga, a tome that, while not required to kill Julius, is pretty much required to kill Julius. At the very least, it trivializes his final fight very well, and it's just a overall very powerful weapon for Julia. Now, you could just warp her there, but for some reason I don't think to use the warp staff and just have her walk all the way over there manually, wasting more time. I'm only bringing this up now because I didn't think to do that until right now when I'm editing voices in post-production, and I just wanted to again bring up how dumb I am. And now it's time for the epic final clash. The Dreadlords and Julius guard the final castle, and this fight is honestly really good. Almost everyone gets a chance to contribute, and the Dreadlords can actually put up a pretty decent fight. We're on all cylinders, all of my healers, all of my offensive units combine, and give them all a good solid ass whooping. The only real problem, and this isn't too much of a deal, but Hannibal dies. Sure is a shame that we don't have any way to bring him back whatsoever, and Hannibal just has to remain dead. Fare thee well, Shield of Thracia. I will never forget you. Oh, hey, Hannibal. And you see, I wanted to show you a really cool trick you can do. Unfortunately, God told me no. What you can do is, there's one Dreadlord that uses the Hell Tome, and if you berserk him with the Berserk Edge, or the Berserk Staff if you're using substitutes, you can actually berserk him and have him cast Hell on Julius. And normally Julius reduces damage, but he reduces damage by half. Hell just instantly reduces your HP to 1. It doesn't really have a damage amount per se. So this instantly reduces Julius to 1. And since he attacks on the enemy phase, Julius doesn't have any time to heal that one, so you can just flick him with anyone, and he's dead. Now, I wanted to do this in like a funny hee-ha way with like Yohalvir or something, but no matter how many times I whacked that guy with the Berserk Edge, he did not want to go Berserk. I save reset a lot, and it just was not in the cards for me. So, sadly, all I can do is tell you that this cheese is possible, instead of actually doing the cheese myself. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I tried to have fun with it, but Mommy said I'm not allowed to have fun. So, instead of some really funny dark magic cheese, I guess we'll have to have an epic Elder Dragon God versus epic Elder Dragon God battle to decide the fate of the world. I guess we'll have to settle with that. All jokes aside, the final spells on display here are really cool. Lopter and Naga going at it's just really good SNES animation. And though the fight itself isn't difficult at this point, like I said, the Book of Naga really trivializes it, it is still really cool to see. But, this does mean we're done here. Once Julius dies, that's it. We've done it. We've finished the LP. I don't know what else to say here, but thank you. Thank you for watching, thank you for commenting, thank you for sharing, just thank you. This LP has been a ton of fun to do. It's been really great to see all the comments like, oh man, this chart's gonna suck, or, you know, this chapter was actually pretty cool. I even saw one of you guys do it yourselves, and that is just so magical to me. My stupidity is infectious. There is going to be another LP soon, not right away, might be a day or two, but another one will be coming. And other than that, all I can say is just like, comment, subscribe, and thank you again. I hope you guys had as much fun watching this as I had making this. And until next time, take care of yourselves, alright?